So we just want to send our gratitude for you guys tuning in. This is our behind the scenes footage of our podcast,
Going the distance with NikoRox.
That's right. So we're get ready to jump into it. Just wanted to remind you guys and let you know that we're grateful and we love you guys.
How cute do I look, man? I'm just saying. Damn. Mom got a haircut and everything. Let's go. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm your host, Roxanne, aka Roxizzle, and I'm joined by my husband and co-host, Nikolai Rowe.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. We got a lot to talk about.
Going the Distance podcast is a space where we share our story and the ins and outs of long-distance dating.
That is right, boo.
Thank you for joining us.
Couldn't have said it better.
Again.
I believe last time we left off, we had just left Spain after becoming officially engaged, fiancés. And so now we went back to Cape Town.
Well, we took them through the trip from the journey back home, stopping over in Johannesburg.
Did we talk about Johannesburg?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Meeting my cousin Roseanne, spending some time there, creating some content. This was all the way back in 2016, right?
Yeah, got some good content. You guys haven't even seen that stuff yet.
They're going to see it. They're going to see all of that. And then getting back to Cape Town.
Right.
I think that's where we ended up.
Correct. Yep, that's it. And so we got back to Cape Town, and now was the moment of truth because we had to sit down with Yaz's father and stepmom.
But before we did that...
I know, babe, I'm going to get there.
Okay.
And we had to sit down with Yasmin's father and stepmom to break the news to him that we were engaged and we were planning to make the move to the States.
Well, I don't think we had to. I think we did it because it was the right thing.
Well, I didn't have to. You were doing the right thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I was there in support. But before getting to the tension and the stuff we were dreading, I actually had something really nice planned for Yaz. One of the things that I focused on in this whole process of Roxy and I's relationship and, taking things to the next level, I always wanted Yaz to feel as though she was included
and
thought of. That was really important for me. So because she had already had a child and, all of our life decisions together directly affects or impacts Yaz as well. So by me, asking Roxy to marry me, I felt like I was also asking, Yasmin to be a part of my life as well. So I wanted to do, again, me being a hopeless romantic and being a little bit of a cheeseball sometimes, I wanted to do something formally for Yasmin. I mean, at this time...
I don't think that was cheesy, though. That was a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah, and I mean, I could have easily just, said, hey, this is what we're planning to do, and what do you think? But I wanted to formally do something directed at Yaz so that she felt special and also felt included in this broad decision. Move that we were about to take on. Yeah. And so we
planned like a date night.
Yeah, a date night at her...
For the three of us.
At her restaurant, a restaurant that she chose.
Yeah, I think she chose. She chose it, yeah.
Yeah, and so we just planned a date night, the three of us, and we're sitting at the dinner table. And did you hide the ring in it? Yeah, I don't think you put the ring on right away. So you had the ring in your pocket or something. You didn't have it visible.
Yeah.
And so while we're engaging at dinner, just making small talk, you put the ring on your finger, and then you brought your hand onto the table, and we're still just talking, and we both, got Yaz's attention. Like, do you notice anything? And she's looking around. She's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then all of a sudden, her eyes lit up, and she looked at me, and she was like, you did it!
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
She was super excited. It definitely warmed my heart to see that level of excitement on her face. And she had already seen what it looked like before, so the fact that she saw it and she was like, yeah, you did it. And then we kind of explained to her how I did it in Spain and kind of our experience. And then I looked to her, and I don't know exactly what I said, but it was on the lines of along the lines of you're a part of this as well, and I want you to know that I love you very much, and I'm excited to welcome you into or be a part of my family, and here's something for you as well. And I got her
like a small jewelry box, which essentially was one of those where you open and it's playing a melody, like a chime.
Yeah, like the ballerina.
Mm-hmm. Was there a ballerina inside it?
It's not the ballerina, but those carousels that you would open with the ballerina, and she's twisting with the music.
Yeah.
So it was that mechanism. Without the ballerina, you just open it, and then that starts the melody.
Starts playing, and then there was a chain inside there.
Yeah, there was a chain with a heart on it, and I had it engraved, and it said,
wherever life may take you,
you'll always be my daughter. You'll always be my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I may have shed a tear for that.
Yeah. And so it was nice and sweet. We had a beautiful rest of the evening.
We had fun. We went to play arcade games.
It
was a fun evening after that.
And then it was funny because she broke it to me that she told her cousin Jessica. She was like, I told you I can keep a secret. I told you. I did tell Jessica. But that was it. I told you. So that was funny. And so we enjoyed the rest of the evening. And I think maybe
shortly after
that next
evening,
day,
we basically set up a time to go and speak to her dad.
And we didn't disclose again, I really didn't have a whole lot to do with this. I just was going more of moral support. But I don't think you broke it to them over the phone. You said that there's something important, or there's some news that we would like to share
with them, and they had anticipated that we were getting engaged. I mean, I think they kind of knew that had happened. It was the four of us, so Yasmin's dad, her stepmom, you and I, that ended up going.
And was this my first time? No, I had met.
You had met them before, yeah, definitely.
Just just in passing, like maybe
not spend time with him.
Dropping Yaz off to his house. Usually I waited in the car, but I think this is the first time that I came into the house and we sat down and formally had this discussion. Again, I'll let Roxy take the reins on this because I was really there for moral support. I know children and just this whole concept of sharing, the interactions with the child, and it can be a touchy subject. So I just didn't want
co-parenting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. Co-parenting. So I didn't really want to get too involved and speak my piece. So I just was there as moral support.
And that was so necessary. I feel like in my previous relationships, even though they were serious, they felt the same way. And I never really had that type of interaction where it was serious conversations that were had between myself and my partner at the time and them. So the seriousness also showed in the fact that you were there with me and as my support, but also showing showing her dad and her stepmom this isn't some next relationship that's gonna pass by, in a short space of time. You were serious about it. And so we told them the fact that we had gotten engaged in Spain, and we obviously were already speaking about moving over to the US, but we hadn't formally done anything in terms of planning or taking any steps to start any type of visa process. So when we got engaged, obviously that was a decision that we had made, and we verbalized it to them. Obviously, there was shock in the response.
Shock is an understatement. Yo, they weren't very nice.
Yeah, they weren't very nice, but I almost anticipated it, because that's unfortunately the interaction that I've always had with them, is that it wasn't really anything I was really doing with Yasmin and trying to advance her life wasn't always received well by them. So the fact that I am letting them know that we had gotten engaged, but that we plan to move to the US, and of course Yasmin is going to be coming with. I mean, she's only ever lived with me, and she would see her dad every other weekend, but very inconsistently. So there was never another option, like, of leaving her behind. That was never on the table. And that was the kind of pushback that we got, unfortunately, more so from her stepmother.
Yes,
way more from her stepmother.
I'll never forget. It was like yesterday, because again, me not really trying to chime in or have anything to say, just being there as support. But she said something to Roxy that just made me kind of my antennas go up, like, how is this gonna play out? But because she was in Yaz's life.
She had been in Yasmin's life from the time that Yasmin was about 1 years old, because they had gotten married before Yasmin was 1 year old.
Yeah, and I had personally thought, like, okay, you've been in the picture from basically day one, but ultimately I felt like this was a conversation directly between
myself,
correct,
and her dad.
And so the fact that she was chiming in more and even went to the lengths of saying, like, I feel like I have just as much as her words verbatim. Yaz is as much mine as yours.
As she is yours. That's exactly what she said.
And I just was like,
you and me both.
I didn't say anything, but I was just thinking in my head, like, whoa, the audacity to think of that. And that didn't really ease up the conversation. There was a lot of pushback.
There was a lot, and even the fact that because her dad was there absorbing everything, and yes, he had questions, but things were still registering in his mind, whereas with her, she was spewing, in a sense. Like, how can you be this quiet? This is your child. This is not okay. You have rights. She can't just take her. Like, that was the kind of dialogue. And it was really a conversation, but it wasn't up for discussion.
Yeah, and it was... maybe in the back of his mind, he thought maybe I would move to
South Africa.
And because he had mentioned, that being like, why don't you just come here, or why don't you go out to the States for a little bit first, see how things are.
He was adamant that
before Yasmin
test the
goes.
waters.
Yeah, test the waters. And he just was not for it. He was like, this is my, first child. This is, I'm not going to just let you take her.
He did say that. Mind you, they have 3 kids of their own. They already had 3 kids, and Yaz is the elder, so yes, she was his first. But in my mind, it's like I have 1 child, and I want to do the absolute best that I possibly can for her, and part of that is
and me just being objective. I tried to put myself in the man's shoes, and I felt like if I was a hands-on dad and I was present in the picture and I was present and I've, thoroughly, had a place in my child's life, I would respect and understand every bit of pushback, because I know for myself that is not something that would go over very easy for me. But the fact that you weren't very present, it was one of those relationships that was, generated through Roxy to make sure that her daughter
through my desire
to want Yasmin with
to
her
have
dad,
that. Yeah, absolutely.
But not, really participating
Yep.
in school, or just not really being there, kind of being there when it was necessary
or convenient.
I felt personally that it was extremely selfish, because here someone is willing to, step up to the plate and be hands-on, and here's an opportunity to flourish in a better situation than what is currently going on. Why wouldn't you want that for your child? Where it was really, I felt that it was just coming from a selfish place of, I want you at arm's length, but
even though you've been here at arm's length, I haven't made the most of it though.
Yeah, it was a convenient factor. It was the fact of, I know you're around the corner and I can see you when I see you.
Yeah.
But I'm still not, it was just that I can, I know that you're there when I want to see you, but I'm not going to continue to make that constant effort. And that was disappointing. And I didn't say much, but I did say, hey, look, I understand where you're coming from. I was trying to be as empathetic as possible. I understand it's your daughter. I get it. But this is something that, we're preparing you for. It's not happening tomorrow. We felt like this is our responsibility, and, us respecting your role in her life. And just letting you know, like, this is a perfect opportunity for you to take advantage
of this
time, knowing that she's eventually going to be going. So we're not leaving tomorrow. Yeah. And, unbeknownst to us, we didn't know it was going to be...
We had no idea.
...the length that it was. Mm-hmm. But we knew it was going to be, say, 6 months or whatever. So we were like, hey, we just want to let you know, just to prepare yourself, whether there's things you want to do, the stuff you want to experience,
spending more time with her,
extra time,
alternating who she stays with, week by week, all of that was on the table. But as soon as we made the decision, we let them know from the jump. And it wasn't, even though it may have come as a surprise, I don't think it would have been wildly outlandish to think that was an option.
Yeah. And the way it was left was kind of nothing was indefinite, or
nothing was definite.
Nothing was concrete. We didn't come to a conclusion.
For sure.
Because he knew, I guess, that it wasn't happening tomorrow. That he was just like, this is something I need to sit on. You can't throw all this at me right now and expect to have me make a decision, which at that moment in time, there was nothing further that was going to be accomplished. And so we just left it at that. And we said that, we would keep you in the loop as to the progress and next steps.
Yeah.
But we just, again, wanted to be the first to inform you about what our plans are going to be for the near future.
And the first step in that plan was to start the paperwork, or at least start looking for an attorney to start the paperwork for a visa. We hadn't settled on which visa even.
Right. And so after this, that was kind of the highlight of when we got back to Cape Town. I don't believe I had much more time.
The highlight being sharing the news with Yaz and then having this conversation.
And
then you did leave shortly after.
Yeah, and then so for us, really, this was monumental in our relationship. Once I got back to California, it really, for me, was a mental shift. I mean, prior to this, we were growing. We continued to grow closer and closer every time we got to see each other in person. We were for me, I was further validating that this is somebody I want to spend, my life with. And prior to the engagement, we were really getting to know each other and just building a bond. And after the engagement, the switch for me happened in terms of, okay, now let's put things into motion. Let's start really setting dates and mapping things out. Let's build a plan. And along with further growing our relationship, I'm trying to think if there's anything specific that kind of changed as far as how we approached our relationship as an engaged couple. Can you maybe touch on anything like that, or can you think of anything?
I can't think of anything that stands out that we did differently in terms of like communication or what we were already doing before. It was, we kept going in that direction, kept doing the same thing.
I think we did start maybe setting boundaries, maybe kind of having that as our leverage now when things were unsettling, or maybe we were operating in a space of old habits, going out or doing things like that, and kind of using our engagement as leverage to say like, yo, we gotta move a little differently now. Like, you're no longer thinking about yourself. It's us now. So everything that you do has to be us,
with us in mind,
because that's how I'm thinking now. And it's funny because I remember prior to that, one of the times we got in a little tiff about you going out, you had made that comment like you're, the typical, I'm grown, like you're not my father, you're not my dad, you're not my dad,
you're not my dad. Yeah, I said that.
And so I think that was definitely the bigger transition of now, okay, maybe we selfishly prior thought about our next moves individually, or maybe what would be the best for us. Even, I think we still had each other at mind, but it was definitely different.
Yeah.
And so after engagement, it was really about how everything was
affecting
we instead of me. And if there was hints of me, I think the engagement was like the correction of like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Yo, this is not a you thing. And it's funny because I think the ironic thing is my past, I have come from a very selfish place prior, and it took,
you said that,
it took a couple relationships for me to kind of fine tune my skills or really understand, selflessness, or wanting to, put somebody before yourself. And so it was just funny that I took the reins of like, any arguments, like I always have you in mind. Any movement I'm making, it's with you at mind. There is nothing that I'm doing.
I think it was the opposite for me, because I was always that person in my previous relationships, and then maybe my like last serious relationship before you is like after that really went south, that kind of made me just think, well, I should be the most important thing. So that kind of changed the narrative for me a little bit. So the roles were reversed in that sense.
Yeah.
So I followed your lead.
Yeah, and so eventually. That it definitely took some working out the kinks and having some arguments there, but it was definitely needed, and from then we just started.
Well, the first thing was I started reaching out to maybe like one or two friends of mine that I knew had already been to or lived in the States, just to find out who their attorneys were.
Right. So that was kind of one of the benefits, that Roxy actually had a pretty big network of people that have made the move to the States, whether it be as like a work visa for, work opportunities, or even, getting married, but they just fortunately had a network that has gone through the process and knew several different immigration attorneys. So,
so I reached out to them first, and like that was one of the first things you had me get on as soon as you got back, was start reaching out to those people so we could get an attorney, because we knew that we didn't want to do it on our own, which obviously was an option or is an option, but I feel like the risk involved when you are trying to make the move with a child is slight. There's more of a risk involved, and you don't want to make unnecessary mistakes to where you don't get approved for,
or it delays the process because you forgot one small little thing things. And now it takes
just 3 months. There was too much on the table, in my opinion, for us to do it on our own.
Yeah, and fortunately we were in a position to where we were able to afford it. So that was definitely a blessing. And so the planning began. I guess we had kind of in line with our 5 to 6 month timeline of when we saw each other. We had decided that 5-6 months, how about you come to the States, and then we can start the process. We can set up an appointment. And
well, I think we found the attorney first before we decided when we were going to come out.
Yeah, I didn't go into details, but we did our due diligence. Someone recommended our attorney for us, and
someone recommended the attorney.
Yeah.
Which they were not able to help us, so they put us in contact with the attorney we ended up going with, and she happened to be based in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Which made sense for us to then, in my opinion, I wanted to meet this person and not only deal with him over the phone or via email. So we were able to then set up an appointment to meet with her when we made the trip out.
Yeah, and so we kept in contact. It's funny, she was extremely thorough at the beginning. Told us everything that we needed to know. So we basically, after having this conversation with her through this referral, had decided, okay, this is going to be the person that is going to be our attorney. And then with our 6-month plans to meet, it came right around January. So we said, I had just come to Cape Town, so why don't you bring, Yaz? I think now that she knows we're engaged, it's serious, it's moving to the next level. Why don't you bring her out here to the States for the first time, let her kind of get acclimated a little bit, just to have some type of familiarity with America, and, give her an opportunity to meet my family, just to really, again, with Yasmin at the forefront of my mind, to make her as comfortable as possible before this grand move. So we set for Christmas.
December.
We set for
Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, Christmas and New Year for Yaz to come out to LA for the first time, her first time to America. And you could maybe speak about how was the plane ride for her.
Oh, Yasmin she is a traveler at heart, I feel like, because this was her first international flight. But she's been on airplanes before and just flown locally. So I guess the experience of having the luxury, having the food on the plane, having the layovers in I think Dubai, we may have had a connecting flight. So staying over at the hotels, and it just all seems really glamorous in our world. So she thoroughly enjoyed it. She may not even have slept on the plane, as far as I know, but she was really excited to come. As you said, I wanted her to have her own experience and opinion about the States as well, and not just have to go off of what I tell her, because in the beginning she was really optimistic and really looking forward to it. But with the energy and the opinions coming from her dad and dad and family, it kind of started making her doubt afterwards, why, and start questioning why she would go. But then, yeah, she had the experience of going, and you made it as fun, as well as the family, as fun for her as possible. Welcomed her right in. Just another one of the grandkids type of scenario.
Yeah, we had a good old time. She met the whole clan. We spent a lot of time with, my nephews. Sister, my nephews, my mom. We had we celebrated Christmas before that we actually went to Santa Monica. It was like the only place where you can go to the beach, a little carnival at the pier, and then go ice skating in the
a few blocks away.
A few blocks away the same day. So yeah, that's what we did. I took her to Santa Monica Pier. We rode some rides, played some games, and then we went ice skating. Had a ton of fun. That was, one of the many activities that we did when she was out here, but that really stands out to me. And then for Christmas, we had spent with my sister and my brother-in-law and my two nephews at the time. Mm-hmm. Two nephews, and my dad came down from Sacramento, and we just had my mom was there.
She was just really spoiled.
Super spoiled. In my opinion. And I guess
too spoiled.
I didn't know not the level of spoil that she's accustomed to.
You didn't know that?
Huh?
You say you didn't know that?
I know how my family was going to be with her. I just didn't know that she wasn't accustomed to that level of spoil.
Well, she is kind of, but as a mother, I try to keep that under control, not too much. Don't want to spoil the broth. So somebody has to just level things out. Otherwise, children take it for granted.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But she's been so fortunate, though, to have her dad's family, my family, her dad's wife's family, her stepmom's family, and now it's like 4 families. Mm. There's a lot of people that love and care about her.
Yeah.
And spoil her, so yeah.
So that was... For me, it was great to see her interact with my family. They were as receptive to her as I knew that they would be. She seemed to really take to my sister and to both my parents. Yeah. So, I love that. And from what I was, expecting, it seemed like everything was going the way I would have liked it to. Mm. And then for New Year's, we went to my best friend's house with his wife and
3 kids at the time.
Yeah, and 3 kids for New Year's. Mm-hmm. And I think we spent the night there because we went bowling on New Year's Eve. We went bowling with the kids, some bonding time. Was this the first time that you met Armand and Andrea, or you had met them
I had met them when I came to LA.
Okay.
So we did a lot, and during this trip, right after New Year's was when we had had the appointment set up with our attorney, and I mean, we just basically spoke about how things would go, a rough estimate about how long it was expected to take, and the handing over of the documents.
Yeah, you came
and
with.
What was your perception, or how did you feel once you met Katie?
Well, from all the emails prior to meeting her in person, she was extremely thorough. Timely responses to phone calls, timely responses to emails
or questions.
Any question that I had or any concerns, she did a great job of easing any type of doubt or any type of concerns that I had. So she was on point. And when we met, I thought she was, again, respectful. We met at like a neutral place. We met at a Starbucks, and we gave her all the documents that she had requested prior to meeting. She thoroughly explained kind of the next steps. What she was way off on, which you guys will further learn, is what you will later learn, was she was missed the mark by a mile in terms of the timeline, a lot because of her negligence. But before we knew, I mean, you know what you know, and she was telling us that, giving us the steps of what we needed to take.
Did you start the process then and there?
Well,
or shortly after we left?
Not that day, but within a couple of days. The first step was to file a form of a petition
for alien fiance.
Exactly. So the legal citizen has to file a petition just to state that I am pledging or wanting to marry an illegal alien, this foreigner. So again, everything comes with the cost. That was, I think, just $500 just for that one filing.
Yeah.
And so I filed that, and from that, after paying that and filing that form, she still wasn't too far off at this point. She said this was going to be the longest process.
The longest waiting period.
Correct.
Out of everything that needs to be filed, this would take the longest.
Yeah, she said, and she said this would take around 3 to
4 months.
3 to 4 months. And
we filed in January of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got approval.
Yeah, so she was thorough.
In July.
She gave us the steps of what was anticipated, all the different forms or documents that we're going to have to submit, and just basically saying, okay, let's take one step at a time. The first step being the petition to marry an immigrant. And so that's what we did. I filed the documents. We were extremely excited that we got a plan of action. We put things into motion. We worked hard. We have the money saved and just ready to use to file this paperwork. And for me, the time frame I had, because I had always said when we got engaged, I didn't want to be apart for much longer. I wanted to get engaged. I didn't want to be engaged long distance. I said I wanted to be engaged, and we really had to get the ball rolling, because I just thought it would be too difficult for me, yearning to be with my, fiance naturally. And so after this first meeting and filing this paperwork, I was anticipating a move within that year.
Definitely. Within.
Yeah. And so we're excited. We have things in motion. We got a plan of action. We know this already year and a half of long distance dating is now coming to an end. And what you guys don't know and what you guys are soon going to learn, this was the beginning of a very long uphill battle. Think about just getting to Mount Everest. You're excited. You know how you get to Mount Everest and you've been prepping, you're training.
Yeah.
You feel like you got the oxygen in your lungs.
Yeah.
You're ready. You've been listening to your motivational music. You're like, oh, I'm gonna kick Mount Everest in the nuts, right? Like you're just going to tackle this, and then you get there and you see what you're about to embark on, and the reality sets in. That's what you guys are about to learn.
Wow. Thank you so much for watching. I was like, for guys. Thank you so much for watching and staying with us till the end, guys. Y'all got the staying power. You know, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already done that, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you are notified when we post more videos. Hopefully this is the kind of content that you like. And if not, share. And if it is, still share.
Sharing is caring.